It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 520. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Hello.
Grace.
Hello.
Kodra.
Wait, we're supposed to have fun when we play these games?
And Thalen.
What? Fun? No. Fun. No fun in games. That's not what video games are for. What are you even thinking?
So, Nintendo started pre-orders for a console this week, and that was definitely a thing.
I was online all three sites desperately trying to get, did not.
I fell asleep at 9 o'clock on the night that it would have been going live at 11 o'clock my time, and then attempted to do the GameStop thing when it opened, and briefly had one in my cart until the site told me I didn't.
There were multiple times I had one in my cart and the site told me I then didn't. I did actually get credit card information in, shipping information in, I got a confirmation code from Target, and then Target sent me an email saying that order had been canceled. 14 minutes later, they sent me an email saying that my order had been confirmed. The cancellation part was the correct one. So it went great.
It's always like this. It's been like this every time, except for the Steam Deck, because Valve handled it themselves.
Right. Like, that's what I was going to say. The Steam Deck was the perfect launch. Like, you put in your interest, and when they had units for you, they sent you an email, and you had like 48 hours to...
I thought Nintendo was also going to do this, given that they took, interest notifications.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm still technically signed up on the lottery from Nintendo, but
yeah, I just signed up on that, and I'll wait for when they send that out next month.
I will probably try if Sam's ever does theirs, because that's how I got my PS5 was through Sam's, because you have to have a paid membership to purchase through them. So usually it limits scalpers, but
I got a PS5 when Sony did theirs directly. So I do not feel like competing with bots. That's not a thing I care to do. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I did the physical stand in line at GameStop on Thursday morning. But I was like the 9th person there, because our store usually opens at 10, and I thought it was still going to open at 10, and the website the night before still said 10, and they opened at noon, so I was there in plenty of time.
Yeah, I was not willing to go out into meat space for this.
Well, fortunately, our area, we did end up with a fairly decent line. It still wasn't super crazy packed, so I was okay with hanging out and just standing there. It was a nice morning to just hang out.
I'm zero shocked that it went down this way, because I remember hunting for a Nintendo 64. This has been the life of console releases forever. People stood in line for crazy hours for the PlayStation 2, and
yeah, I am grateful that I have a Steam Deck, and a lot of the reasons that I got a Switch in the first place are not that important anymore, because I'm definitely in team. I can't deal with fighting against bots, so I can afford to wait on this one. I still would like to get one, but I am not in a hurry.
Yeah.
I have to imagine there, at least something I was thinking about is there's probably a lot of people thinking this is probably the cheapest it'll ever be. Get this.
Yeah.
Well,
that's probably not true.
The only reason why I tried it all is, generally speaking, if you don't get one at release, it's 6 to 9 months before you get one. So
also, the release versions are the ones with the terrible bugs that let you jailbreak them.
This is true.
Yep, usually.
I don't know. There's been a minor amount of controversy over some of the game pre-orders, because they're just download codes in a package. So people like carts, yo.
I am anti-cart.
I am very anti-cart. Like,
this sounds great to me.
Apparently people like trade games and resell them, but that's
a thing people still actually do. Yes.
It's been a long time since I've ever done that, or since I've done that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we are moving in that direction, though, with the Nintendo, like, digital cartridge thing that they're working on.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. No way. Unless Germany forces them to do it. This is just a thing for you personally to make playing games on your alternate consoles even harder. They say it's going to make it easier, but it's worse than the current system. This feels like a way to transfer games from Switch 1 to Switch 2, and that's pretty much it. They're not going to let you sell those. You're kidding? Why would they do that?
They would lose money.
Yeah, we don't own things anymore.
Maybe Germany will force them to do it.
We can hope.
So another thing that happened this week is one of the worst kept secrets in gaming. Virtuous has developed in cahoots with Bethesda a remaster of Oblivion, and it is just as janky as the previous one.
I'm truly impressed by this game in general.
It's just wild. It's so wild. Like, it's the same level of nonsense, just higher definition.
Yeah, they managed to take Unreal's, Oblivion's original engine, and it's still running all of the game logic and things like that. And they're using Unreal Engine 5 for, the graphics.
Yeah, so there's just an overlay on top of the creation engine. But the level of detail that they put into the models to make them look just as uncanny valley as the originals.
I mean, that's mostly players putting in effort to make things look uncanny valley.
No, the NPCs, though, look just as weird as they ever did.
I don't think they look that weird.
I don't know.
Or you haven't seen Oblivion NPC really recently.
I saw screenshots of, a adoring follower or something, and that was
just as creepy as ever. Yeah.
Yeah, I never played Oblivion. I looked at them like, wow.
That's a significant upgrade for the adoring follower. Just in case you're curious.
Wow.
The adoring fan, yeah.
But they left all the wild, memeable voice lines in there, and whatever.
And recorded new ones.
Whatever they did to remaster them is amazing, because I would have sworn Patrick Stewart was delivering a brand new performance.
No, he's got the uncompressed audio now.
the NPC that says a line and then a couple seconds later, no, let me retry that.
Take that again.
Yeah, that's in there. It's still in there.
Wow, that's fantastic.
The amount of care that went into this re-release is astounding.
It sounds like they really understood what the people loved about the original.
But this is a weird, Oblivion is a weird, janky game with some really, really cool questions. And for the people to whom this is basically a brand new game, I sort of envy them.
Yeah, because they're going to get the same experience, just slightly higher definition. Wasn't this a Games for Window game that had all the weird issues associated with Games for Windows?
I don't think so. No, I don't believe so. I mostly played this one on the 360, so I couldn't tell you.
I mean, I played it on PC originally. I played this broke up our raid a couple nights. I remember, because people were playing it when it first released, and we had trouble forming a raid.
This came out when I was basically
2007.
No, this came out in 2006. This was basically when I was starting to get into PC gaming.
I should honestly give this game a legitimate try, because I probably didn't give the first one enough of a try.
So there's a really important thing about the re-release that they changed. And if you saw Checkpoint, you actually saw it mentioned already. The leveling system in the original Oblivion is terrible. Absolutely, completely garbage.
I heard that they fixed that in some manner, but I don't know in what manner.
I was about to say, the one I remember is that I followed the quest immediately as I was given it, because it seemed pretty important. And if you're following the main quest and not ignoring the main quest, that will get you in over your head very quickly.
I mean, it's kind of depends on how you started, but yeah, it will put you directly into the Battle of Clash pretty quickly. And not a whole lot happens in that if you're level 1. You just go to Oblivion Gate and close it. there are like some scamps around town. If you're level 1, it's not that big of a deal.
Those scamps were 5 levels higher than me and ruined me.
So one of the things that's kind of nice is there's a reasonable third-person mode that's actually pretty decent. Yeah, so you can.
This was not true of the original.
Yeah, so you've got a reticle and everything, like when you're in third-person mode, and there's a slight off to the side view so that you can actually see what's going on. So yeah, it's very nice. I mean, I still feel like Oblivion has one of the better intros of an Elder Scrolls game.
It's real railroady.
It's super railroady, but like it does kind of bring you into the story probably better than a lot of them do. Like Skyrim's great, but Skyrim you can also, I don't know, like I completely didn't realize I had a choice of who to follow when I first played Skyrim.
Me neither.
Because there was so much stuff going on that I just found the NPC I could find.
My heart still belongs to Morrowind. I loved that game.
Yeah,
that game doesn't have an intro.
Yeah, it's just like, there you go.
Here's Satanine. Good luck.
The game drops you off and is like, I don't have anything for you to do. Please go maybe check out some of these other guilds and do work for them. And it gets you hooked on side stories before it brings you back to the main story quest. And at that point, like some of your side stories also feel important. So it feels like there's a lot going on for you to be constantly balancing.
What I did when I first played Morrowind was immediately start roaming around the swamp and found a dungeon that was too big for me and like stubbornly pushed my way through it. And I don't think there was much in the way of rewards. So it took me forever to actually get engaged in the actual story there.
Something Cliff Racers. I will say Morrowind is aggressively weird in a way that the other games just are not.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to go back to the weird places in the Elder Scrolls.
Like ESO has a pretty good view of a lot of them.
Yep. Someone described the difference between Morrowind and Oblivion to Oblivion is doing shrooms at the Ren Fair and Morrowind is doing shrooms while looking for shrooms.
It certainly is unexperienced.
In other bizarre news, Magic the Gathering is getting in trouble with IP law and inventing a dumb idea to take care of it.
If you are unfamiliar with Magic Universes Beyond, it's sets that they are taking in from other outside properties, including like Doctor Who and Marvel Comics. Unfortunately, that Walking Dead set we talked about years ago was, in fact, the start of a slippery slope.
We got a pretty cool Final Fantasy set out of it. Or are getting one? I can't remember.
Are getting one.
Are getting one.
Yeah,
and that one isn't a problem legally.
I would like to point out that there is a Final Fantasy card game that exists.
I guess Hasbro is not that scared of their lawyers.
I mean, they probably agreed to it. After all, Marvel agreed to make physical cards.
So, on most of these Universes Beyond products, they are a somewhat cloistered set that you can play with.
So
they're not
except this year.
Product. Yeah, I was about
to say.
This
year, they made the decision to make the Universes Beyond stuff in standard.
Yeah, so it used to be that Universes Beyond was just like, we're going to release 5 cards that are characters from a Universes Beyond. And we're like, we're going to release some commander decks that are Universes Beyond. And now we're releasing old draftable sets that are Universe Beyond. And now we're putting those draftable sets into standard.
And if they're going into standard, they're going into arena. Except, oh wait, they couldn't get the rights to put Marvel characters in arena.
Yeah, they do not have the rights to produce Marvel digital cards. So we're going through the Omenpaths, where there's going to be, because the problem is that standard has to have the same set of standard cards wherever you're playing it, or else like people will get too confused, and it'll bifurcate the community more than it already is, which is already pretty bifurcated. So the solution is create a set that is mechanically identical, new art and names.
Didn't they already do this with the Godzilla cards?
Yes, they did.
Like
those didn't cause any confusion. Those were everywhere.
This has happened.
And those said the name of the card they were on the card.
Yes, they did.
These can't do that because the card they are is a Marvel character.
Ah.
Yes, we're going in reverse from what that situation was.
Oh dear.
Godzilla's cards were just special versions of them, but the real cards were like, even in that set, if you didn't buy the fancy products, you didn't see the Godzilla cards. You saw the, sound alike monsters.
But how do you take a extremely designed to be Peter Parker themed set and then bring about that exact same set of cards in any way that makes any coherent sense? Everyone is hoping for Legally Distinct Spider-Man. I am hoping for Legally Distinct Spider-Man. I think that's what we're going to get. As funny as it would be to play with Arachno Kid, I think
that would be funny, but I suspect we're going to get an entirely different set, which was like, I am not a fan of Universes Beyond in the first place. I think Magic as a property is dead to me, basically. Like, what are they even doing?
Trying to make money, Ash.
I'm aware they're trying to make money. They're trying to make money, drove D&D into the ground. They're going to do that same with Magic?
Yes, they will.
Yeah.
Almost certainly.
Look, if they're not making the absolute maximum amount of money at any given point that they can, then they are failing at business. You can't expect them to fail at business, can you?
I do feel like we at some point need to figure out a way to incentivize the people who we entrust these like corporate institutions with to not think, well, up 80 years of goodwill, how do we cash that in for the next 4 months and then burn the company down on our way out? It turns out, I think there was some value to having 80-year-old companies.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe people will need to curse at people who threaten to raise the price of the hot dog.
Capitalism, taking your memories and extracting the maximum amount of value from them.
Yep.
It's not good capitalism, though.
It kind of isn't.
No, it's really bad.
No.
So
good capitalism.
Like, related to this, there's been a couple of YouTube pieces that have been released in like the last couple days talking about how most of the live service games have failed, but mostly those were all spawned by companies that didn't have any clue whether or not it would be a good thing, didn't have any ideas about how much money it takes to actually really run one of these well, and the after the sale requirements of doing that. And I think you have a lot of business types that have no comprehension of the thing that they're trying to sell, because by God, everything is a widget.
It's all interchangeable widgets, and you hire a person to run your company who has experience at running companies. Like, that's, yeah.
Yes. Anyways, it does seem like the Hasbro corporate leadership is dead set on burning down all of the goodwill to make a little bit more money in the short term. Probably because they are not envisioning themselves as existing at Hasbro past maybe 4 more quarters.
Yep.
But the thing is like, this has been happening to every product that Hasbro has. Like, the collectibles market for figures has been just kind of wrecked. And now, like, D&D was wrecked. Now Magic the Gathering is wrecked. They've been systematically extracting whatever goodwill they could get and capitalizing it, and then I guess at some point moving on. It is sad.
Yep.
It is. It is wild to me how some of the biggest brands mostly don't seem to be displaced by other competitors, but by their own corporate greed.
And the thing is, there just comes a point where folks get fed up and there's not enough new people that they can onboard to replace them, and eventually they'll die, because products that aren't quite as greedy will eventually rise up and provide a similar experience and siphon the players off.
It feels weird to be wishing Disney the best, but here we are.
I know.
Hilariously, like, for as terrible as Disney is, they definitely seem to care about existing for more than the next 4 years.
It's true. Well, currently they do.
Mm-hmm.
They've had past behavior that's been closer to this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there was a period in Disney's history that was...
Which makes me wonder if lessons were learned?
No, just the people that were responsible for that moved on, and they got some people in charge that
care about the legacy of the company actually.
Yeah, that view it as more than just a way to get paid. No, I'm continually amazed that like Marvel Comics under Disney's control has remained as viable and like as it has. I'm also surprised that I'm even more surprised that DC Comics, which has always been under Warner Brothers control, is still actually producing decent comics. Because Warner Brothers is in worse shape than Disney ever was. Only thing I could think is that, David Zaslav just doesn't care about comics at all. Like, doesn't realize that they exist.
I did see a newer trailer for the Superman movie, and I am very excited.
I'm so hopeful. James Gunn understands why these characters have been so popular for so long, I think. And I think he may actually finally produce a group of DC live action DC movies that are actually good.
I have hope.
Crypto is great.
Yep. Yeah, like basically that was the moment that gave me hope. Like of anything else that I've seen, it was the moment we saw Crypto on screen in a non-slapstick manner.
Yeah, not making it goofy, not like just like, yeah, Superman has a superpowered dog. Deal with it. It's the thing that Marvel learned forever ago. Some of this stuff is real goofy, and you just roll with it. And people will either accept it or they won't. And mostly they'll accept it. Like talking raccoon guy with massive guns. Sure, why not?
You know what doesn't make me sad though?
What's that?
How phenomenally well this last Epoch season has been.
I feel like I'm just now getting into things since I was gone last week. I, of course, have gotten terrible altitis because I do that.
Yeah, no, you create a bunch of them at once.
This is not remotely surprising.
This is a game that encourages that.
I think the more surprising one is I have had terrible altitis.
The surprising one for me is that they haven't all been primalists.
I have finally rolled an acolyte. I'm not yet sure if I like this or not.
Are you planning on going Warlock?
Warlock.
I will say of the Acolytes 3 Ascendancies, Lich just has mechanics I do not like. Like, I'm not a big fan of the whole Lich form Death Seal thing. And I feel like if you're not using that, I'm not sure why you're playing a Lich. Warlock has a lot more stuff I like. But I think I am planning to play a ranged ailment-focused build as a sorcerer. So Warlock might not be what I'm looking for right now.
Necro is pretty chill. I mean, it's definitely an easy way to level something, especially now that you can respec.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if I want to play a minion build, well, I have many options there. I think I've just never been a big fan of the whole skeleton minion thing.
If I'm gonna go hard into minions, it's Burb Ballista.
I mean, I love Necro minions, but they're in an okay place right now, but there's so many other more eye-catching options at the buffet at the moment.
So one of the things that I've been playing a lot of multiplayer with Tam, who's not here today. One of the things that really struck us is they had the option of like, is this going to be more fun or less fun in multiplayer? They figured out how to make it more fun.
Oh yeah, it's super fun multiplayer. And
it's just like, oh, the Nemesis. And I was like, oh, that's awkward because like only one of us is going to get the Nemesis item.
Nope.
Oh, that's a real... No, absolutely not. All of us get it.
Yep, everyone gets to do it, and everyone still gets shards or whatever drops from everybody else's.
Yup.
Yeah, and basically the person who starts the map controls the Atlas tree that's being used, which I wasn't sure how that would work, but like Grace and I were playing a little bit before the show, and I went all into loot lizards, and we got the very like it, since it, we I was the one queuing up the echoes, we got so many loot lizards.
It was delightful.
Oh, that was another one. Like Tam was doing a weaver's echo, a woven echo, and I was like, "Oh, that's neat." But like, obviously, it's not going to give me like weaver points, right? Like, I didn't have to spend a resource. No, it absolutely gave me a weaver.
Yeah, the only time that doesn't really work like that is with corruption. The
You still get
corruption levels are
stability, though,
set.
right?
Well, okay. You're progressing a specific person's timeline,
Yes.
and your corruption is set on that timeline for that person, not for the other people that are joined in.
I've been enjoying discovering some of the little things that are fun or just quality of life improvements that I hadn't noticed initially. So one of the ones Belle and I were talking about earlier tonight was with prophecies in Circle of Fortune, and talking about putting lenses in to get the prophecies that we wanted. And I was mentioned that I recently discovered that instead of having to put in a separate lens to say I don't want dungeons and I don't want arenas, and now there's just a new lens that says I don't want anything that's not monolith.
Monolith, please.
Yep. And then you still have 2 other open lenses to actually be useful, and it's so good.
Yeah, it's really nice, and I did not know that. And now mine's configured that way. I would like some kind of like little storage window or something on the telescope so that you can put at least a handful of lenses that you swap in and out, because like sometimes I want exalted items and sometimes I want uniques. And right now you just have to go back to your bank to grab them, but or even give you like the window that allows you to pop open your bank from the
That would be nice.
yeah, so that you can swap them in and out there. But like they've added so many little quality of life things that I would not be surprised if that they add that at some point, because I know folks have mentioned that.
I mean, we recently got the quality of life thing of adding specific uniques to loot filters.
That's pretty
Yes.
great.
And which I need to take advantage of because prophecies are silly. I have seen so many rings drop at once, and I really need to be able to not look at the ones that I don't need.
I mean, and we're over a week in at this point, and there's still a ton of the quote unquote PoE streamers that are playing, and it's been interesting to see some of their experiences too. And like one of them pointed out, and this is the thing that I really like about the game, is that it feels like you have incremental improvement in your gear, where you can get to good enough really easy, and then you can get to better pretty easy, but you can keep working on improving and working on improving to get slightly better or slightly higher LP versions, and slightly better exalted items to slam into it, so that like there's this endless loop of improvement if you want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, getting the uniques you need to get functional, very easy. Getting non-uniques that are functional, like T5s and everything, quite easy. Getting exalted items for those slots, a little harder. Getting like T2 legendary, like LP2 legendaries and appropriate exalted items to put into them, also a little harder.
But like, especially if you're a Circle of Fortune, and especially with the imprints and the Weaver's Tree, you can
The imprints seem busted.
You can really kind of target specific things, and it's not all the time. Like, but when it happens, like it's noticeable when it procs, and you have so much better of a chance of finding the thing you're looking for, which is wild. Like, especially coming from like PoE, where that's a thing that I was thinking to myself earlier today, is the average rare or exalted item that I'm dropping on the ground is way closer to an ideal item than anything I ever get as a rare item in Path of Exile.
That's kind of because you're filtering them out, so you aren't even seeing, like, your average item is quite good.
Yeah, but like even the rolls on just random things that drop on the ground tend to go up over time as you get, like,
they do go up with level. Yes,
they're gating what the rolls could be, whereas in Path of Exile, like at level 100, you can still get an item that theoretically has stats appropriate for a level 1 item. And like that's really noticeable because, you know, there's a lot of items that don't drop ideal, but are maybe close enough that I could craft it into something that would work. And I really appreciate that, especially when I'm looking on for something to slam into another item.
I'm just grateful that the problem of getting into monoliths and getting bored quickly has pretty much been solved. Like, yes, there's still plenty of room to add more things to do, but there is enough now that I am not getting bored.
Right.
And
right.
I've made way more progress with killing harbingers than I ever have, with pushing corruption, because usually it's not, most of the time recently, it hasn't been an issue of power level or not finding gear. It's usually been an issue of, okay, now it's just going to be doing the same monolith over and over and over. And it got boring, and it's not boring anymore, and I'm still going. I might actually kill Aberoth this time. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm way further in corruption than I've ever been before. And like, I thought I had a pretty good build until I grouped with Grace.
Look, you don't want to know how bad my resists are. I cannot stand in things, but I can kill them before they put things on the ground in the first place.
Yeah, whereas I'm pretty tanky and have extremely decent sustain, but my Harbinger fights are like 5-minute long ordeals.
Oh no. No. My Harbinger fights are like, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds.
What's your build?
I'm playing Heartseeker.
Ah.
I thought that would be busted.
I mean, it's apparently not even the best thing to be doing right now, but it is very fun. And yeah. I also did happen to luck into an LP4 bow.
I definitely made a difference. Respecting and going into the nonsense judgment build.
The not righteous fire build?
Yeah, the not righteous fire build that can easily do like 2,000 corruption. But like, I'm pretty happy for what is mostly a build of my own creation that has slowly worked its way in over the course of several different, seasons, that it's doing as well as it can. Like, I'm on, I don't know, like I have 3 more Harbingers to go, and the next step is like 250 corruption.
The only thing that I know about Harbingers and pushing them is that what I hear is that the order you do them matters.
Yeah, because the harder ones definitely are going to get harder as you up the corruption.
Yeah.
In particular, maybe do the Lagan one first.
Or early, yeah.
I did the Lagan one like recently, and it was fine. I mean, I've gotten really good at the mechanics of these fights because I have to stay alive for a really long time to finally kill them.
I probably could have done a different order this time around because this build almost one-phased Lagan.
I didn't think it was possible to one-phase Lagan.
Yeah, I didn't think it was either, and I didn't, but he had like less than a quarter health left by the time.
Oh, yeah, it is possible to come to phase 3 with him having no health.
Yeah. So that was a new experience for me.
I've done that once before during the campaign with a very strong frostbite build.
But it was fun.
I never really realized that Lagan keeps doing his thing while you're down on the floor.
Surprise!
Depending on how long it takes you to do the thing, you can come back at different phases. And like the first attempt I tried for Corruption 225 Lagon, I came back and it teleported me in the middle of the moon. And so like I instantly died. So,
But I mean, that's the reason that the order matters, right? Because every time you kill a Harbinger, the next one that you kill, you have to bump the corruption up by at least 25. And so might as well get the annoying fights out of the way before you push the corruption.
Yeah, I'm told the Lagon one is rough, mostly for the size of its arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have like the one that was also surprisingly annoying was Captain Harton.
Oh, really?
Because it's an awkward arena.
Yeah, it's a weird shaped little arena. Because I fought there's one of the Woven Echoes that lets you fight the Harbinger for whatever timeline you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for Lagon, and it gives you a whole gigantic arena. It was no problem at all.
Yeah, I did that too, thinking that maybe it would count, but it didn't.
It doesn't,
doesn't count for progressing the faction.
No, but it does give you the loot you would have gotten.
Oh, that's
and also
nice.
some of the loot from Lagon because, quote unquote, the Harbinger stole it.
Yeah, it's basically you're killing the Harbinger after as if it was empowered from that boss fight. So it drops the same loot that it would at that boss fight, which includes that boss's loot.
Maybe I'll ever get Lagon's sword. Actually, it's not the sword I'm looking for right now.
I have a bunch of them, but unfortunately, they all have LP on them, so it will take forever to build up residence to trade it across.
Honestly, I don't care that much about the sword. I don't have a current build that would use it. It previously was the weapon I was looking at for my Werebear build, but I think I mentioned previously they buffed Stormbreaker, and that's the new weapon.
I have several copies of that too.
That has been working out very well.
I don't know. I feel like they've reached a point where they have a good baseline for content that exists in Monolith. And I'm kind of hoping that future seasons will start adding kind of alternate systems.
Yeah, just more fun things to do. But I mean, the Weaver's Tree also helps a ton. We were discussing this earlier as well, that like you can add extra loot caches, you can add all of the lizards you can stand. I really like the one that adds packs from different dungeons that have a chance to drop the dungeon's loot.
Ooh. Does that include the Soul Gambler loot?
I don't know. I've mostly seen it drop stuff from the Heart of the Mountain and Jorah, but I don't know.
I think yes, basically anything that could drop in a dungeon can drop from that. So the upgraded versions of, like the elemental leech gloves can drop from those mobs. And
I mean, it's a low chance, but it's fun when it happens. And that they almost always drop keys for the dungeon, so you never run out of chances to go and upgrade your legendaries.
I cannot tell you how nice. Like, I get that this is a band-aid for an awkward system, but portal charms are so nice. I have not run Temporal Sanctum once this season all the way. I've just gone straight to Jorah.
I've done a couple only because I had prophecies in there, and otherwise, yeah. And
yeah, I did one for what's the tree dungeon?
Lightless Arbor.
Yeah, I had to do one of those because I had one that had kill rares and Lightless Arbor.
Yeah,
that's
and when I when I do have to do them, I can run them with a loot lizard charm. Although those loot lizards don't get all the bonuses that you would get if you were in the monolith, which was sad when I discovered that. So like the automatic uniques and chance to spawn more, and none of that applies, which is a bummer.
Like going full loot lizards is complete nonsense. Like every time you kill a loot lizard, or I'm sorry, remove the pack from a loot lizard, it drops a unique no matter what color it is. Also, there's a fairly high chance that when you take out one loot lizard, 3 more will spawn. And all of these things can kind of chain off each other. So like I've absolutely, gotten a lizard shrine and then had a couple of them split into packs of lizards, so you just end up with so much loot so fast.
I find it funny that it's possible to get some of those bonuses outside of Monolith. Like you can just randomly have some of these things happen. I killed a loot lizard on my Void Knight and like surprise, like there's 4 more.
Yep.
Like, I guess we're not done.
It feels like you got a lot more time than you used to have.
Yeah, as long as you hit them like even a little bit, they seem to continue running away rather than just vanishing.
Yeah, but it takes a really long time for them to actually vanish, though, because like they'll go sit down just off screen, and if you go over there, you can pick up and finish the encounter.
I'm just glad we aren't actually killing them or their big brothers. I like their big brothers, but they're sort of more of a pain in the butt.
Oh.
There's a woven echo that is full of large loot lizards that shoot fireballs at you. But also it's full of chests, and every chest has a lizard. And the goal of the echo is to free and unburden all of the lizards.
You're helping them.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
One might say we're liberating them. It's just wild, though, like, to be playing a game that is so deeply rooted in trying to make things fun.
What if this game was fun?
Whoa.
Yeah, even they do seem to recognize that game balance is a concern, and they have outright removed some builds. There was a Sorcerer's Spark Charge build that used Frost Claw previously that is basically no more because they changed the node. It uses Static Orb now. I don't think it's that much worse, but it's definitely worse. Frost Claw is the skill on Mage if you want to hit something a bunch of times per cast.
I mean, Ballista Falconer got nerfed, but it's still one of the best possible builds.
Oh, yeah.
So, every Friday, Mike from EHG live streams for charity and answers a bunch of questions from the community. And someone had asked about what their philosophy was towards overpowered builds. And he said that really what they want to do is bring it down just below the overpowered line to where it's still a viable build. It's still good enough to do everything, but it's just maybe not as ridiculous as it was. And so far, Ballista was
done a pretty good job.
Ballista Falconer was the it build last league, and it's still very much a viable build.
The numbers could probably come down on Judgment Paladin and or Void Knight and or so on Smite stuff. But whatever, they're pretty good builds right now.
Yeah, I do kind of want I don't know who it was, but I thought somebody said this in our chat channel, but the PDR on all of the new chess pieces that are really high survival may be a little high.
I mean, it wasn't me, but I have seen commentary on that. But also, Titanheart isn't new.
Well, no, there's the Primalist one specifically is the one I'm thinking about, and then there's a brand new one that drops off of Aberoth.
I will say the one that redirects your health to a minion might be a little strong.
Yeah. That's
I don't actually think that line is what makes that item too strong, though, because again, you could have a Titanheart in that slot.
But apparently, there's absolutely a 2000 corruption squirrel build going around. Oh my god, has this existed previously? There's a shrine that gives you void squirrels.
Yeah, that did exist before.
Okay, I don't ever remember getting it before this time, but I love it so much. I mean, maybe it's just because there's literally a map that is just 50 shrines. So you're probably going to see one of every shrine type in that map. But I love the void squirrels.
If I remember correctly, most of the shrine stuff is from 1.1, right? It's when they updated the shrines, made all the ability shrines actually not suck.
Yep.
And that was also when they added in mages, I think. And
no, mages were in launch. Mages were 1.0. But yeah, so that's when we got things like the Big Meteor Shrine and the Void Knight and the Void Squirrel Shrine. I do find it funny that one of the original shrines, though, the Ice Beetle Shrine, still pretty strong.
Do you just want to freeze everything? Okay.
Yeah, shrines have come a long way from the, hey, have some critical chance, have some stun chance, maybe move a little faster.
It's also very funny in multiplayer when everyone's playing a different build, everyone has a bunch of different specialized. When you hit a shrine and everyone gets it, it's much higher chance that it's a really busted shrine for someone.
So Werebear is funny because almost all of these spell shrines are ridiculously busted. Because on that build, I have strength gives me flat spell damage. So it doesn't matter if it's an acolyte spell or a wizard spell, it's going to be real strong. The hilarious, absolutely winning, though, one is just getting Stormbolt, an ability I already have specialized.
I'm pretty fond of either getting Maelstrom or Warpath while I'm Warpathing.
Warpath is funny.
Like, Warpathing while Warpathing is just silly.
Yeah, that works while rampaging, so I don't know why I thought it wouldn't work.
Nope, you just get double the Warpath, and it uses my Warpath stats.
Yeah. Having lots of fun with last Epoch, even though I am not very far into the end game at all because I am distracted. I'm having a lot of fun playing a build that I've played before, playing a build that I thought about playing before and didn't really get off the ground. And I also want to try a new build because I have not really played a rogue build other than starting the Falconer thing. And I think a Shadow Dancer build might be kind of fun. Looking at that a little bit, I have some survivability related concerns, but I'm sure it'll work out. I mean, and if it doesn't, I guess I can always just go to Falconer.
Yeah, while we're recording, I'm leveling a Primalist a little bit because I really do want to make another run at Squirrel. Because I've gathered up like all the components that I might need.
You got the helmet?
Yeah, I've got multiple copies of the helmet. Like I've got multiple copies of the chest. I've got that's the thing that I've noticed is basically I don't have a red ring and I don't have an Aaron's Will, but I've seen pretty much everything else that I've ever cared about item-wise.
I don't even know what Aaron's Will does.
It is the one that gives you
an extra
golem and also like larger golems, I think.
Got it.
So like it is the required item to play a bone golem build, really. Because I think you can get 3 of them at once, and like if you have perfect gear, you can get 4 of them. Because it's like based on the number of skeletons you have or something like that. I don't remember the specifics. But like, so it can be scaled to have just a bunch of giant full-size golems. Because the only other way you can have multiple bone golems is to get like these half-sized ones, I think.
Yeah, there's a point in the skill tree for it that will split it in half. But they're little golems. It's not the same.
Usually it's worthwhile, though, because like...
Oh, yeah.
They're super tanky and are really good at keeping you from dying.
But it's not the same thing as having an army of full-size golems.
Right.
Yeah, I see this is the rarest chess piece unique.
Yeah, the league I had it, I got it off of an Ascendance.
It is possible. It's just not very common.
I think it's about similar drop rate to Red Ring.
I think it's like twice the drop rate of Red Ring. It's 10 times the drop rate of Red Ring. Dumb, intentionally.
Yeah, I feel like that's the mage blood of this game.
It really is.
There has to be some dumb chase unique.
I mean, Omnis is also a dumb chase unique, but for other reasons. That's the Venators of this game. How good was your roll? Oh, it's not. Also, the amulet slot is real competitive, just gonna say it.
But also, we have a way to reroll uniques now.
It's true. This item that Orbis drops kind of a lot at high corruption is the thing you can actually roll now if you got an awful one, which you did, because most of them are.
I do wish there was a way to divine uniques without...
Other than having multiple copies of them?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you can do the turtle, but it's going to take away the LP from your unique.
No. You can divine... Bell, you can divine uniques.
Oh, right! There's the one that lets you sacrifice one.
Yes.
To divine it. Okay. I don't know if I've unlocked that Echo yet.
You should have it or be able to buy it, because I've definitely done that one. I think it might require 200 corruption.
It may not have been. I've got a handful that I've not run yet, just because I wasn't comfortably doing 200 corruption.
I will say the Circle of Fortune bonus that causes sets to drop as the entire set is now not worthless. I appreciate this. It used to be ranked 10, I think, at launch, and I had no idea why.
Well, the nice thing about a lot of these crafting machines that come from Echoes is once you've run it, you can basically use it an unlimited amount of times.
The set breaking one is not like that, unfortunately. I think you get 3.
I thought it was like the turtle.
No, you get 3, which is still a good amount, but not enough when I have 2 full tabs of set items to break down. Should probably run that bridge a couple more times.
Okay, yeah, because the turtle one, you can just attempt to re-roll as many uniques as you want.
Yep, which is great.
And also you get like affix shards as a result whenever it knocks it down to a 0 LP item. I actually pulled a 3 LP out of an egg earlier, so that is apparently legitimately possible. I think the highest I'd ever gotten up to that point was a 2 LP. I also realized large chunks of this conversation are going to come across as gibberish.
I mean, it's not any different from when we talk about Path of Exile.
Yep.
Thankfully, legendary potential is fairly easy to understand once you actually start playing the game.
Yeah.
Also, it's explained in the game proper. Nobody ever reads the game guide, but it is there.
I think it is. It's even explained when you do the Control-Alt full item description thing, at least basically. Anyone have any other short topics?
Soulstone Survivors is on sale for $6 maybe right now, and it is super worth it. And also the actual full launch is supposed to be happening soon, so you should try it.
I'll have to take a look. If for some reason you still have not played Blueprints, be aware you can pet the dog. If that's the thing.
How do the dogs work, Thalen?
If that's the thing that you need, you can pet the dog in Blueprints.
Thalen, I don't know how the dogs work.
What do you mean?
It's one of my...
There's dogs.
But sometimes the dog's lying, and sometimes the dogs want to eat. But it keeps changing, Thalen. There has to be a pattern to this madness.
All I know is that if I have the room with dogs in it, I can pet the dog.
You can pet the dog. But why can you pet the dog?
Because you have to be able to pet the dog.
Oh, okay.
You can also pet the dog in Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. It's a very good dog. His name is Rudy.
Well, that's probably a show then. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.